The Packers are 5-3-1, and now I already uploaded the video. I already talked about everything associated with Jordan Love's 14th touchdown of the season. Why didn't it happen on his birthday 14 weeks before Super Bowl 60? Why hasn't it happened this week, 13 weeks before the Super Bowl? Because the Packers have 13 titles currently. You have to pay attention to the number 10. Basically, his 14th touchdown is going to happen 10 weeks before the Packers book their ticket to the Super Bowl, and Jordan Love is number 10. The 27 enigma is a key storyline. Now, what's interesting is that it can be explained by numerology. That 14th touchdown of the season, the Packers playing for their 14th championship. Basically, numerology, it's no coincidence. It's planned for Jordan Love to throw that first touchdown pass 14 days after his birthday. So it's not 14 weeks before the Super Bowl, but it's 14 days after his birthday. Basically, what you get is you get 27, you get 9. You get 9, basically. At 27, 9 days when Jordan Love does throw his first touchdown since turning 27 years of age. So it can all be explained by numerology. But I'm telling you, I think the Eagles are going to win next week. It's at home, right? Momentum. Dan Campbell now has the play calling duties. Is that going to make or break the Lions? I think there's no middle ground there. How does Dan Campbell do as the primary play caller when you're not playing a mediocre Washington defense? How is the play calling going to fare against much better competition? So that's something very interesting that we're going to see. Is it going to play out very good, or is it not going to play out very good? Plus, it's the 10th game of the season that Jordan Love's going to throw his 14th touchdown of the season. So you better believe it was already planned for Jordan Love to not throw his 14th touchdown until 14 days after his birthday. The Eagles are the bait. The Eagles are who Las Vegas, that's their team, because that's their team that they want people to bet on. Roger Goodell and the Gang of 32 decided the Eagles were going to beat the Chiefs. They decided that the Packers were going to throw the game offensively. They have decided that the Eagles are going to beat the Lions because the NFL in their script works hand on hand with ensuring that, Vegas gets their cut, that BetMGM and FanDuel, that these guys get their cut. So when you have the Eagles beat those three mentioned teams, 3 Super Bowl contenders, then people are going to be all over the Eagles. Well, that's the next dynasty. They're going to be in the Super Bowl. That's who's going to be in the Super Bowl. Well, they're hardly invincible. They only won by what? 3 today? They only won by 3 against Kansas City. So that team's going to crack. That team is definitely going to lose. They're no way unbeatable. Are they going to have a costly fumble in the playoffs? I believe so. I believe they will. But Jordan Love threw the game. It's like, hold on to the ball, kick a field goal, 3, nothing at halftime. But you see, he was in on the script. They threw the game. That's what they did. Because the Eagles are the team that they're pushing for in the NFC. And now this doesn't go ignored. ESPN has betting sponsorships. They advertise ESPN Bet. What new betting sponsorship does ESPN have? If ESPN sponsoring the bet, you better believe that these pundits are going to tell you which team that is going to guarantee the sponsors the profit. ESPN betting sponsorship. They got rid of the ESPN bet, but got replaced by something else. Okay, they signed on with DraftKings. Okay, that's who they signed on with. So now ESPN, Disney is in bed with betting, and whoever works for ESPN, they already know the script with the NFL. Whoever's the CEO of DraftKings, he collaborates with Roger Goodell in the paid for shows on ESPN. Tell you now, ESPN is here to tell everybody that the Eagles are going to win. The Eagles are going to win. No, it's the Chiefs are going to win. It's the Chiefs are going to win. What's going to happen is Do Re Mi is coming to these four said companies, the FanDuels and the DraftKings. And Packers are going to be in the Super Bowl. It's already scripted. Will the Packers win the Super Bowl? At least they'll make it to the Super Bowl. Are the Packers going to win it? Maybe, maybe not. Is it possible they could push this 27 enigma, keep on mentioning it on TV, have everyone believe it's going to happen, and then you get to the Super Bowl and then you have the Packers lose? That could be very plausible for Las Vegas to take advantage of all of this, and then just have everyone bet more and more on the final game, and then the Packers lose the final game. It seems pretty plausible. Is the 14th championship happening, or are they going to push this and just have people bet more and more and more money? That's how you know the Packers, it's a script either way. They get to the 14th title or they lose in the final game. That's what's going to happen with this team. Now, San Francisco, in abbreviations, also equals 29. They play the Giants 2 months and 9 days before they win the NFC title game. Against who? It could be anybody. All I know is that the Packers are going to be 4-6 in the NFC Championship game, kind of like Levi Stadium. The 10th NFC Championship in the history of the Green Bay Packers. Yep. We'll see if the astrology is going to kind of connect with Lamar Jackson. This is the year that Lamar Jackson's going to get it done. He's going to get it done. I wonder what Lamar Jackson's numerology is. Lamar Jackson's numerology. It makes sense why the Eagles won the game. They're obviously trying to push the Eagles on the rest of us. That is simply what they're doing. They're trying to sell us the Eagles. And now it ain't just you're the horse in astrology, but also it's Lamar Jackson in his birth numerology. Again, his name is legendary. Lamar is his name. I know if Jordan Love wins the Super Bowl, it has to be rigged. I know this guy is not any good. But Lamar Jackson is a 7 life path in numerology. He can win his 7th playoff game to win the Super Bowl. He came back after 7 previous games to the Ravens season. Lamar Jackson, 7 life path. This is what it's about right there. This is the 7th game against Patrick Mahomes. Lamar Jackson beats Mahomes, beat 2-5. Versus Mahomes with the win, because on the if it's an AFC Championship game, it's on the 25th day of the year. 25 would be gematria of the day. Ravens does equal 25. If Lamar plays Mahomes at home in the playoffs, because I believe that LA Chargers going to win the division. I think they'll beat the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence, you should beat the Jaguars. You'll beat the Chokeland Faders. I think they need Eagles to lose to keep the number 1 seed alive, especially if they beat Detroit. So the Chargers, they're going to beat the Eagles. It's all going to come down to the game against the Chiefs, quite frankly. Chiefs will keep on winning. Chargers keep on winning. It's all going to come down to that game right there. The Chargers at Kansas City. What could the road record be for the Chargers? Oh, they'll be winning road games. You better count on that. They're going to win road games. They'd be 4-1 on the road entering the game against the Kansas City. Yeah, they'll 5-3 or 6-2 at home against the Eagles. Be my guess. But Patrick Mahomes does equal 62. I can see the Chargers 6-2 at home before they take on Patrick Mahomes December 14th. I guess it's really about the home record for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think it's about conference records. I think it's about conference records too. Conference records are going to be one of the biggest indicators, I think, as far as, marquee matchups. Who's winning the marquee matchups? Who's winning the marquee matchups? Got to look at the regular season standings, one of the biggest indicators. The conference standings, your record against the conference is one of the biggest indicators of all. The LA Chargers 6-1 against the conference. So they could enter 8-1 against the conference against Kansas City. So it's really 91 or 8-2. 8-2 or 9-1. 8-2 or 9-1. Andy Reid is 9 my path. They could get that 9th win. I think in a divisional matchup, you got to pay more attention to divisional records before conference records, quite frankly. You got to pay more attention to divisional records. But the Chiefs are, 2-3 against the conference? They'll be 3-3, like Patrick is 33. I think I've explained it in the predictions video. So let's go to Chiefs conference record. I probably should go to divisional records first, but 3-3 against the conference. They'll be 4-3. I think they'll be 5-3 against the AFC before they take on. Okay. So step by step. Hear me out on this. Chiefs are 2-3 against the conference. They'll beat the Broncos 3-3. They'll beat the Colts 4-3. Then they play the Cowboys. They'll be 5-3 against the AFC when they beat the Texans, but they'll fall to 5-4 when they lose against the Chargers, because the following conference game would be against the Titans, and Titans is Gematria 54. So I do have the Chargers beating the Chiefs for the division. Because they're building a narrative for Jim Harbaugh. So ultimately, Jim Harbaugh's going to win the division. He's going to beat Kansas City. That's what's going to go down right there. So no home games for Kansas City this year. If you think it's going to be easy ride to the Super Bowl for Kansas City, you're kidding yourself, because they play in every game Patrick Mahomes. It's not like you're missing Lamar Jackson for 3 or 4 games. It's like you have this guy for every game of the season. And that's a head-to-head tiebreaker for the Chargers. So if they do run the table, if they do beat Kansas City, then it's over. It's just secure a playoff spot for Kansas City. Maybe they clinch their playoff spot against the Donkeys on Christmas. They'll probably secure a playoff spot on Christmas. Chiefs against division. 1-1 against division. They'll be 2-1 against division. The Chargers have played more divisional games, so that record's going to say more. They could fall to 2-2 against division. Maybe be 3-2 against division when they beat the Broncos, because Broncos equals 32. It kind of makes sense for Kansas to fall to 2-2 in the division. They'll be 3-2 in the division when they beat the Broncos. The Chargers started out 3-0 against division. So they're still 3-0 against division. Okay, hear me out with the Chargers. Let me go to Chargers schedule. They're 3-0 against division. So let's walk through the divisional games. They'll be 4-0 against division when they beat the Raiders. They'll be 5-0 against division when they beat the Chiefs, because Chiefs equals 32. So they'll be 5-0 against division when they beat Kansas City. 5-0 like the Super Bowl at San Francisco. They're trying to build a fan base. It won't surprise me if the Chargers get the number 1 seed, quite frankly, but then somebody's going to beat the Chargers. It won't surprise me if the Chiefs play them again in the playoffs. That will not surprise me at all. Let's see. Chargers have the 7 wins. 8-3 is football. 8, 9, 10, 11. They could go for win number 13 after Dallas. Dallas is 13. They could get their 13th win the following week after playing Dallas. But yeah, I'm adamant that the Chargers are going to win the division this year. They're trying to build a fan base. It's some bigger strategic planning involved. The planned Jim Harbaugh Super Bowl. The Chargers are winning the division. The Chiefs are the bait. The Chiefs are also the bait in the AFC. They'll be cooked come playoff time. This is the year Lamar Jackson gets it done from 1-5 to the Super Bowl. You can't write any better script right now in the NFL. No script beats Lamar Jackson, the MVP, the Heisman, the best quarterback in football over the last 2 years. Lamar Jackson, he's just a running back. He can't throw the ball. He's a running back. He can't play quarterback. He's a running back. Lamar Demetrius Jackson Jr., yours truly, Lamar Jackson, is in the Super Bowl. The AFC title game is on the 25th. Lamar Jackson's birthday is on the 7th day of the month. Lamar Jackson is booking his Super Bowl ticket 18 days after his birthday. Lamar Jackson gets it done. Bills does equal 18. The Bills appear to be weak. Well, hold on. They had a bad loss. They beat the Ravens. They beat the Chiefs. They're going to start winning over the next couple of weeks. They're going to start winning again. But something is off if Lamar Jackson doesn't have to slay the beast in the AFC. We're not talking about Buffalo. We obviously are talking about Kansas City. Lamar Jackson is going to beat Patrick Mahomes at his home playground. That's what Lamar Jackson going to do. At his home playground, Lamar Jackson is going to beat Big Daddy Patty. You'll be at home. Because remember, Ravens divisional winner. Chiefs will not win division. The only way you will play the Ravens is on the road. Lamar Jackson, this is his house. This is his kingdom. Lamar Jackson, his only win against Patrick Mahomes was at home. Lamar Jackson gets it done at Baltimore. I guess my only question is Lamar Jackson, is he going to win on the road or at home for the AFC Championship? It all depends. If you play the Chargers or somebody, you play in New England or whatever, you have to go on the road likely. Number 1 through 3, Ravens on the road. If they play a Kansas City, a wild card team, a Buffalo wild card team, well, if the Chiefs play Buffalo, then the Buffalo may not win the division. So it's possible the Ravens can play the AFC title game against either team at home. But you know what? I thought I was only going to do a video on the Packers making it to the Super Bowl, but I believe Lamar Jackson. Typically, the Ravens have to go on the road to make it to the Super Bowl. They did at Oakland. They did at New England. But the Chargers are winning the division. If the Bills fail to win the division, Lamar Jackson has got home field advantage possibly throughout the playoffs, even as a number 4 seed. Lamar Jackson gets it done. Lamar Jackson, 1-5, the Super Bowl champion. Lamar Demetrius Jackson. About the brother. What do the script writers have next? So Joe Burrow, he could be back in 21 days. I'm targeting Thanksgiving. A record don't mean nothing. I'd be surprised if Pittsburgh wins this week. It seems like the NFL really wants the Bengals to be in playoff contention. You know, they're out of playoff contention. They're playing prime time at Thanksgiving. NFL probably wants the Bengals to win this week. But is Joe Burrow, which quarterback out there had their career end after too many injuries? They're screwing Joe Burrow. Hypothetically, realistically, it all depends on this game. If the Bengals win at Pittsburgh, then suddenly this has gone great. But Ravens are minus 300, minus 270 to win the division. The odd makers obviously know the schedules for the teams. They know who looks good. They know who looks like hot garbage. Steelers are obviously hot garbage. Love is Camacho of 18. I mean, the Chiefs probably fail to make it to the AFC Championship. I mean, do a lot by design. Lots of numbers will sync up with Kansas City and San Francisco. But I think this is where they're going to pull the curveball. Technically speaking, Lamar does equal 45. Buffalo Bills equals 45. New Orleans equals 45. Did they make it to New Orleans? No, they didn't. So even though it does sync up, it may mean they'll be contenders, but they're not necessarily going to win. So even though Kansas City equals San Francisco 122, so does Lamar Demetrius Jackson. I'm looking at the 7 previous years. I'm looking at after 7 previous games in the season. I'm looking at the 7th playoff win for Lamar Jackson. Okay, Jackson does equal Packers. There is championship history for both teams. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. The Ravens don't have the history from the old Browns. Yes, they do. Because the players, it was an expansion team. That's what the Browns are. They're an expansion team, technically without past history. The past history moved to Baltimore. So that's 8 championships for the Browns that moved to Baltimore. And the Ravens are going for the 11th championship in their team history. This is technically the 11th season of Levi's Stadium, because I remember Levi's, it opened in 2014. Then in 2015 season, they hosted the Super Bowl. So this is the 11th season of Levi's Stadium. Micah Parsons is number 11. So that's another good reason why Micah Parsons can make it to the Super Bowl. But this is the 11th season of Levi's Stadium. Lamar gets it done. Watch Lamar go ham on the rest of the league. Watch. New England keeps on winning. New England may beat Baltimore later on in the season. I think they must have New England beat Baltimore. They could probably they could end up losing against Green Bay. Ravens could be 10-7. Ravens could be 10-7. Then Lamar beats all these squads in the playoffs, though. In the playoffs is when he's going to beat him. But that Lamar Jackson record against the NFC is cray. It is cray. Lamar Jackson's record against the NFC? His winning percentage is probably 90 against the NFC. He had another one against the Vikings, I see. But then Green Bay, Lamar Jackson. I don't think they'll have the Ravens beating Green Bay. Green Bay's going to need that number one seed, I think. I think Ravens going to throw that thing. I think they'll lose. They'll probably lose against New England. They'll lose against Green Bay. Could they lose against the Steelers? But let's be honest, they hot garbage. Now they're saying Joe Burrow could play on Thanksgiving. You can forget about playoffs if they lose against the Steelers this week. If they lose against the Steelers, then those script writers are out of their goddamn minds. They are all coked up. Against the NFC, Lamar Jackson. Okay, I think what I remember, it was the past X amount of games against the NFC that. Okay, he's 25-5 against the NFC. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? 27. Go for the kill, Lamar. Go for the kill. How many NFC games do the Ravens have? Because they played the Rams, they played the Bears, they played 25-5 against the NFC, kind of like the base 25. Okay, Browns, Jets, Bengals, Steelers. Okay, last NFC game is against the Packers. If Lamar Jackson beats the Packers, he can go for his 27th win against the NFC at Santa Clara. Santa Clara is 27. So it may not be automatic that the Ravens lose against Green Bay, but they could beat Green Bay again. Well, but they won't beat Green Bay because all three quarterbacks won the championship at 27 years of age. So it's got to happen in the Super Bowl, Rod. If Lamar loses against the Packers, his 26th win against the NFC will be at the Bay Area. His 32nd game against the NFC will be in the Super Bowl 32 days after his birthday. Four and 1 against the NFC North, Lamar Jackson. And could his 7th game against NFC North be in the Super Bowl for a 7 life path? It is you're the worst number 7 zodiac position. I think I'll look at these past games for Lamar Jackson against Green Bay. They may tell us something more. I'm not seeing Green Bay Packers on here. He never played against Green Bay Packers? Because it's all chronological. I don't see any G. Detroit Lions and Houston Texans. So I guess he never played against the Packers, I presume. Did Tyler Huntley play against them? Oh, 2021. Yeah, I think that was Tyler Huntley. And then 2017, Lamar wasn't even drafted yet. Lamar has never played against the Packers before. Tyler Huntley scored 30 points against the Packers, December 19th, 2021. Lamar's never played against the Packers before. Jackson is 73, Packers 73. Oh boy. He has never played against the Packers in his career. 18 is the last time the AFC won the Super Bowl, so that would be Vegas. Peyton Manning is number 18. The Super Bowl at the Bay Area was played on an 18 day in 2016. I think that explains. This is the year the Lakers' 18th title. The AFC title is 18 days after Lamar Jackson's birthday. Lamar gets it done, and the Lakers get it done. Lamar Demetrius Jackson. This is the most legendary of all legendary runs for Lamar Jackson. It does 10-7 does happen. It's like the 13th win happens to win the AFC, the 14th win in the Super Bowl. Ravens were 10-6 in 2012. Then 4 straight wins, they won the Super Bowl. True story. True story. So, yeah, their last Super Bowl championship, they did play New England. They did play the Broncos, 2 teams on top of the conference. Both teams played at Baltimore. If you're speaking about the Colts and the Ravens did play the Colts in the playoffs in 2012. So this year is going to get synced. It's basically synced around the Ravens in the best player in football, Lamar Jackson, finally getting the long-awaited championship and dispelling the doubters. Looks like Joe Burrow is on the cursed side of the narration. He's the cursed character. He's a character, Joe Burrow. He's a cursed character like Rivers and Marino, whatever. Lamar Jackson, this is the moment he gets it done.